Hello and welcome to a new episode of Impulsive Compulsion here at Question the Truth with me, Slisk Lindqvist. And this is the Querzion's call. Part of it. I've been speaking of it for some time now, some years, but yeah. So I was thinking, could first reseed people with knowledge of where home is. We can state it as home is where I am, and you could, this is the title, home is where I am. This is a reseeding of that. It's a bit, I don't know how to state it. It's not difficult, it's quite easy to state. Also have another video I'm going to make after this. So this is going to be a short video because you don't need much to know where I am. You have the law of one. It states that 1 is 1 is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 1. I've said it since I was a child, which I kind of still am in one perspective. This must be a bit childish. But I saw a sign on a wall. I keep seeing signs from different cultures speaking of the same thing, but all with different descriptions of it. I thought it's better not to have a camera, because yeah, we're going to talk about that later on. I'm just going to write down something really fast. So I saw this sign on the wall that a relative of mine had bought. I don't really like all the strange love this and love that. I have a deeper notion of what love is. I don't take it for granted. It feels like it's taken for granted when you put up a sign on the wall stating, "Home is where I am with you," without even understanding it. Well, by understanding it. Because I am is the form of being, and being is be me, because ing is me. So I am resides within me. And therefore I am. So I am. Me plus I becomes we. This is a distortion of the mental state. You're a bit divided with yourself. What's good, what's evil, what's good, what's evil, and what's evil, what's good. And it goes strangely about like that. This is the morals. Because in order to have good morals, we need to have good values. So that is where us comes in, and that is I plus you equals us. And us, now me plus I is equals we, and I plus you equals us. But I understood something when you take J as us, Jesus, J is I, S is is, and us is us, all of us on earth. So I plus you is us, so I is us. Jesus resides within us. It is the imagery of the suffering. So me and I equals we is fear, while I plus you is us, Jesus is suffering. I am redemption is because me plus I equals we is fear, and when you dissipate the fear, because the fear is me and I is ego. So ego, you, us. Me plus ego is we. So if I is ego, that will be two triangles. When you combine these two triangles, I most likely need to actually make this visual. I'm going to get the camera. I don't like it, but I will. I don't like the camera. Oh good, it started directly. So I'm going to redo this so I can show it effectively. Because I rewrote home is where I am with you. So this is what was on the sign. Sorry, it's supposed to be there, not two O's. There, you. It kind of sounds like doesn't it? Yeah, but it's not like that because it's not, well, it's redemption for the U's in one way, but it's a redemption for everyone in another sense. So we take me plus I equals we, which is fear. And I is ego. G, Z, us. Because I stated that Jesus, I am us, or I is us, which becomes I am I within us. Wasn't I supposed to make 2 videos and not 1? Okay, yeah. So I plus you equals us, which is suffering is I is ego, next pyramid or triangle. This is the duality. It's fear versus suffering. Redemption, I am I. For I am. Which means redemption. I might have spelled this wrong now. But I am. I, as in me, am. I, ego for I am. And the first sentence, the first part of the sentence, I am I, for I am, is because I am. I just am. I am me. So I am. Live as I am. It's, I don't know how many that will actually see the same thing, but I am I, for I am. When you... Oh, I'm shaking. I have another video to make, so I don't want to go too far into this. I'm going to write the law of one, because this here, this is the law of one, spelled out in words. Spell sounds like magic, but words aren't, well, spelling, how you use the words actually implicates yourself in sorts, but it's not magic. It's like the cup that I spoke of. I give you a cup of knowledge, and you see an empty cup, and you fill it. You fill this chalice with your fears, your suffering, your ideas of what is and what isn't, and you make it dirty. This is why I don't read books, because if I'm not in the state of just being, I will sit down and add to the story or take away parts of the story. It's also the same thing with religion, which I see as two sides of a coin. Now, I had a discussion with a person and he stated that, well, usually people don't see the binding, the ring that holds the two sides together. One way, a coin is three sides. If you have that, you have the two sides of of a perspective, of your own perspective. You have the fears, and you have the suffering that you see. When you overcome these two, you start to go the middle road, as I do. It's not... I'm going to talk more about it in another video, but I am going to law of one states 1 plus 1 equals 1, 1 plus 1 equals phi. Phi is the snake. So where is home? Home is the binding of self. Phi. So let's start with phi. What is phi? Phi is growth. Here you have phi. Phi is growth. And when you bind that growth, you will have eternal growth. There's a crosshair. You could see it as crosshair. That is one of the bindings, but that is only the calm within self. You need to bind that calm to have it. Closed off. And that is the cross in everything. Actually makes up to be a whole lot of symbols actually. So let's take the cross, X, could I see more symbols? Oh, yeah. That's a whole lot of symbols. There's more to it. You see now. Symbols. Lots of symbols. A whole lot of symbols, actually. To find home took me time. Till I realized I am, and I have been, I am for a very long time, because I am being. I am being. Be me. I've always been me. To know your home is to know yourself. So phi, the growth. So when you grow within yourself, that is one way of knowing yourself. You can know yourself in either mind or body, and the heart is where I am, where I reside. From my perspective, home is the heart. It is where motion becomes energy. Sound becomes motion. Let's see. I lost track of myself right now. Oh yeah. I've been speaking about 9 densities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 8, circled, 9. That is what phi is, okay. Okay, so we have this. You have, I'm going to darken it. Probably easier to. What you perceive as evil is a self-imagery projected upon others. That is why I see friends everywhere, but I'm going to make another video later on. So, but this is the first density perspective. It is my perspective, what I see. The second perspective is you, thinking from the perspective of how you perceive me. It's in here. The third is the third perspective of the third person, either yourself looking upon yourself or a third person standing and looking upon me and you discussing something. The fourth perspective is the mind's eye. It is the insight of the ego. The ego. It is the insight of self. This makes up two triangles, which becomes two pyramids with four sides to it. And the fourth side, all the corners of the pyramid. Let's see if I can make one here now. Pyramid. The middle point of a pyramid, the middle of these four positions, this is the first, second, third, fourth perspective. You have the fifth inside here, because here's the eighth. The eighth is a combination of these two, but it's 10. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and middle point is the fifth. It's the absolute middle point. That is the fifth. That is the combination of these. Before, there was 1, 2, 3, and 4 perspectives. Now it's 1. This is the fifth. 5 equals 1. Now we have another pyramid. It is almost equal 1, 2, 3 to the other one. So this is the dark one, the negative, what we perceive as negative, what we perceive as a perspective of evil, what we perceive as a perspective of the good. Good and evil is divided perspectives of reality. So when you combine these two, you will get something called the Star of David, or a tetrahedron. Two tetrahedrons becomes the Star of David, because there's, you can't see it, but here is 2 points. There's one on the front and one on the back side. There. That's the edges of two pyramids. This means that 1 plus 1 equals phi, growth. One plus 1 equals 1. Holy shit. Yeah. I am who I am. This is growth. This is the law of 1. This is duality in combination. Let's go back to the other one. Because you always have two sides of everything. You have the law of 1 and you have the opposite. Then you have the binding. Binding is I'll get to that. 5 and 5 equals 10. So we have two pyramids. There. 5, 5 equals 10, and 10 divided is 1 and 0. It's the binary. This is the duality. This is good and this is evil. That is the duality that most people live by. When you combine these as 1 plus 1, you will see it as 11. The growth of that is 12. That is why I stated that the majestic 12 are the observers. They observe the good and evil. Well, the good and the evil, while I'm going to state this in another way. 10, 11, 12. 10 are the followers. 11 are the watchers. And 12 are the observers. So what does this mean? I will come to. I've already stated where home is. Right now I'm trying to get you to understand how to get home also. For it's a difficult path. It's the middle road. And if you understand the middle road, you will either live in full fear, full suffering, and seek redemption of self without even getting close to it, ever. The followers are the binary. So let's make the phi again. Phi in binary is that one is good and one is evil. That is duality. You have watchers, which is 1-1. They see the good, they see the evil, and they choose a side. Watchers are not really as an observer is, because the observer is growth in a whole other range. Watchers see themselves. In duality, you only see others. But the observers know I am. What I mean by this is, duality is you see what others do wrong all the time, but you miss what you yourself do wrong. When you start to see what you yourself do wrong, you become a watcher, and you watch yourself and you question yourself. So from the duality where everything is everyone else's fault, that everything is as it is in your life, a watcher notices that everything from birth to the end of its own life, everything is your own decisions based upon the duality. Because duality is, I need to search for a word since I can, no, I don't need to do that because I remembered it. Superficial. I don't know if I spelled it right, but superficial meaning you look at me and you see, yeah, I need to look like this because you will never see my heart if you're superficial. You will never see anyone else's heart either if you're superficial. The watchers, which I know I am, I know when I am, because you don't live in either one or the other, you live in all three at once. And that is I am one, all one. Let's take it as one for all for one. Which is something I still have to learn more about. It's It's the past that becomes the realization. I'm not supposed to talk about it yet. Not yet. The observers are perception. Meaning, observers takes in the perception of two. Here. Two is the binding. I'll talk about binding. First is 1 plus 1 is 1. And 1 plus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals growth is phi. 1 plus 1 equals growth is phi. This is the cross. Because you have the emotional and the mental growth. These are the duality. I get separated. Most people live with this or this. But it is a combination that creates the full understanding there. That is what I made earlier. It's been spoken of before. Many times before. It's called vägvisir. It's there to lead you. It's the 8 paths of growth. But there's always 2 sides to everything, and that leads you to become a savage. Either way. You have savage. I need to check a word. No. No, isn't that fun? Sov in Swedish is mostly water and different sugar. Yeah. It's like kind of like a water that comes out of trees. Yeah. I saw it in this Sov age. But yeah, I tend to break down words. I do it because it was how I came to the realization that vägvisir is 2 sides that needs to be combined. It's like I told a relative of mine that people seem to be living with, I have a logical brain, and then another comes and claims, well, I have a creative brain. But you don't have one or the either. You have both, because 1 plus 1 is 1. You have 1 brain. There's so many that are like, life is what I call God. because life kind of knows everything without us needing to take part of it, needing to be, well, God isn't interested in showing itself, because it's showing itself every day, everywhere, to everyone, all the time. It's there from birth, and it's the last thing that you leave when you decide it's your time to go. It breaks us down so that we can come to the realization of whom we are, then who you are, to become I am. See the realization that I've always been who I am, and will always be who I am. I didn't have a faith before. I was born an atheist. And now I see duality as God. Because life is duality. Life is what teaches us everything. What forms us. And creates I am. Life is given to everything. And is rarely taken away without a reason. That is why I see life as God, even if others just want to see it as a force of nature. I just want to respect life. I'll respect myself by respecting others. I chose to be a pacifist. For hurting others is hurting self in one way. Because it's an impulsive compulsion. It's an impulsive decision. It's lack of self-control. Savage. Yeah, savage. You have two kinds of savage. You have the emotional and you have the mental savagery. emotional savagery usually, well, both of these, emotional and mental, usually ends in fascism. So let's start with fascism. Fascism is my law, is your law. You listen to me, or you don't, or I don't talk at all. And that's basically how the duality works. That is how others work. They see themselves without knowing it. It's binary. I am right, you are wrong. In this case, I know I'm right, but I don't want to be. It's just strange. Fascism is self-righteousness. So I'm just going to write self-right here. I can't. So fascism is self-righteousness. It's the emotional and the mental savagery. This usually also causes violence. That's the signature of this. Violence. I cannot communicate as an adult, so I use violence in order to get my statement through. That is fascism. And I stated to others that everything outside of the inner calm is fascism, because it's anarchy. You're an anarchist. Basically the Antichrist in one sentence. But it's the it's the it's lack of maturity. It isn't wrong. Well, it's wrong to behave like a child and hit people. But you also need to know the way. So it's like I told a person recently that You need to know your faults in order to change them. And that doesn't mean that someone else, you go out and you hit a person and that person states, "You did wrong, I'm going to lock you up." It's growth. It's always been about growth. We have Fibonacci spiral, very bad one here, but for every, let's just open Fibonacci spiral. I know of a good one in my pictures. I have not there in the theories. This here is a Fibonacci spiral. Let's make it smaller. So you have all the boxes here. We skip all these. So you hit a person, someone tells you someone tells you you are doing wrong. This is the part where you start to realize for yourself that you did wrong. Then you become perceptive. This is your impulsive action, someone else's perception, you're becoming perceptive, and then your perfection. But you're only perfection till you realize your next mistake. And you should listen to others. This is about your personal growth. You can't go along hurting others just because you cannot understand yourself. This video is 1 hour long now. I'm just gonna talk about the other savagery soon, you know. Maybe. Yeah, I'm going to take that now. The other savagery is instead truth. This is true righteousness, or the true sight as I see it. True sight. Which is righteous. That is why I am the righteous one. I am the righteous one because I state that there are no lies. There are no lies because there's a limited perspective of everything. What I state here now could very well be a lie for you, but it is my truth. It is a truth that I live by. And that is why I am. Because I stand up to the values I have, but the wrongs I do to others, I see them before I even do them. And it's scary. True sight is to see the other's perspective, but also the truth is what I live by. I always speak the truth. From my perspective, my observations is that everyone speaks the truth by a limited understanding of what they are stating. That is why I don't get angry at people. It is when we ourselves believe in the lies or the truth of others, and that truth is destroyed by an even greater perspective of it, that we are broken down once again to rise up and grow even more. That's phi. Growth. I am the righteous one because I see. What others do not see. And when others see what I see, then that is the day of redemption. Before that, you will be going through the cycles of judgment of self over and over and over, till you are able to realize that everyone that you run around and try to judge is only the self-imagery of your own values. You're not lord of others, you're a lord of yourself. I'm going to talk about that in the next video. Truth is very savage, and it's either met by an even greater truth, or it's met by violence. There's a lot of insights to take part in. Rather, I would state that it is fascism and perspective that is the different. Need to redo that one. Here you have the build-up. You have the binaries. Perception and fascism. This is violence, and this is observation of what, or perception is basically judgment. So fascism is also judgment. non-violent judgment, violent judgment. What I stated as stagnation down here is these getting right to make one person or one goal that everyone is fighting to gain. And it's also going to be So we're back to this. Stagnation is the stagnation of society. It is the stagnation where we divide our forces into one dystopian paradise and another dystopian paradise. 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 Pair of dice. Very funny, ha ha. So stagnation is basically what we are in now. Everyone in the binary world is fighting for this equilibrium of freedom. We have more sides to it because these two are like this. I noticed it when I kind of woke up. That we're kind of living in paradise right now. Well, we are living in paradise. Pair of dice. We're throwing dice every day with others' lives. That is what paradise is. And we are far from a utopia. Closing into dystopian societies all over the globe. Stagnation of stagnation. It's like stags fighting each other everywhere. This is all for one. It goes down from these two binaries to become a fight, a clash between one or more dystopian societies. Or they can go and grow up to a truth where you bind. That is the binding of the snake. You bind the snake to one truth. One truth that rules everything in one way. It becomes the growth. This is what home is about. I can live everywhere as long as I am. If my home is my heart, but even a utopia can be a paradise, pairing of dices. Even if it seems like a utopia, it's going to be a hell for someone else. But those that grow past the duality which means you need to take part in the dystopians. You need to take in the dystopian societies. The societies that you do not want to live in, you need to take part in them mentally. You need to learn about them, learn from them, see their perspective. Only then can you bind this snake, because it's two snakes. For you, they're probably evil, but you need to bind it. You need to stop you need to start seeing that you are a person that is capable of both good and evil in any direction. Self-control is to control the urges of the emotional impulses. That is self-control. Not hurting others. Because you accept that you are capable of both sides of the savagery. While a lot of people state that silence is silver, or rather speaking is silver, silence is gold, I state that I have a hard time stating the right thing right now because it's in Swedish, and the word that I am thinking of does not mean the same thing in English, so it's a bit difficult to state the right thing. But I can make a good translation of it because of my own, because I know what it means. So silver, or rather speaking is silver. Truth is golden. And love is, let's choose connection. I like that word, connection, connection. Huh. I have a great problem with one thing though. I don't like con because I see it as a lie. But I also see love as a lie in one way. Till it becomes the truth of self. When you are able to see yourself in others, and all you see is a friend and love towards them, that is when you know you're home. You know that you've come to the point where you accept everything about yourself and you love yourself. And you can love anyone because of it. You can see that they might not be as mature as you, and you forgive them because you know that you know that they couldn't have done it in another way. They were limited by their own choices, their own knowledge, their own insights, their own wisdom. And the people before them didn't even have the knowledge or the wisdom or the insight to teach them. So it's basically children teaching children over and over again. And that is the stagnation. I am Querzion. I'm here to question the truth so I can connect Cyan. I need to stop the video now. It's getting too emotional. Thank you for listening and watching. I'll make another video shortly. Thank you.